Hi everyone, this is Bamstamax Gaming here with my inaugural video, the very first, talking about the Adventures of Elliot, the Millenium Tales, an upcoming action RPG from the powerhouse that is Square Enix. Before we get started though, given this is my first video, I'm going to dabble in the usual spiel that YouTubers will posit you with, which is the usual like if you enjoyed, comment if you have any thoughts, and subscribe if you'd like to catch any future content. And look, the biggest benefit of subscribing is you get alerted to new videos, and if you're struggling to sleep one night, best believe that my dulcet tones can send you to sleep. I've been told, many people have told me, that I have a very soothing voice, so do with that what you will, but I hope what you will do with that involves subscribing and hitting the bell icon. Nonetheless, we'll dive into this. So with a bit of a preface, I actually got an email from Square Enix goading me into downloading The Adventures of Elliot in hopes that I'll pick it up and really enjoy it. And to be honest, they kind of succeeded, and they weren't wrong. They weren't far off the facts when it comes to whether I'd enjoy this game or not. But I figured I'd actually provide my thoughts on this after pumping in around 7 to 10 hours into the demo itself. Noting that the demo itself is only a tiny sliver of the game. One thing I can note about this, or one thing that's probably worth mentioning beforehand, is I love 2D HD JRPGs. I love JRPGs in general. Some of my favorite games, or two of my favorite games, include Dragon Quest XI, and then also I've really enjoyed playing Persona 5. If we were to extend it out again, 3 of the top 10 games that I've played, full stop. Of course, Persona 5, Dragon Quest XI, but also Octopath Traveler. I've really enjoyed that, as well as Unicorn Overlord as well. So this game already elicits similar feels to both, even though they're different games as far as the system itself, what the genre is. They're RPGs nonetheless, but Unicorn Overlord and Octopath Traveler, both 1 and 2, this elicits those same feelings, and I can tell you now, I'm definitely not disappointed at all. There are a few things of note, though. So the first one I can talk about is just the map. This feels so grand and just immense. Just walking through the township, it feels very big, very well fleshed out as well. You can enter a lot of the towers and the ramparts and run along the walls to collect loot. You can intercept several of the buildings there, and talk to people, of course. That's very natural. There's a few really cool quality of life measures where it'll give you a little check mark when you've spoken to someone, so you don't just speak to them 8 times as you enter a city. And it'll be interesting to see if Square actually add in a bit of a time series there. So as you progress the story, if you've spoken to someone and there's new dialogue, it may give you a tick mark, but it might also give you like an exclamation point to say new dialogue, and you have a chat again and see if there's either more lore to add or more content by way of this quest or something. That will be really cool. So that's one aspect of the game that I like as far as the quality of life measure. We jump back to the map, and you can see that traversing into buildings, into shops, leaving the township, which you'll see in a moment, it's seamless. The camera just follows you. There's no loading screen. Very similar to as you walk through an area in Octopath Traveler, especially Octopath Traveler 2. I'm playing through as Hikaru, and you'll see a video come up for that in the near future as well. But as you travel through, the camera follows your sprite until you reach the limits of that map, and then it will load another map. This doesn't even do that, it's just seamless. The only time you might have a loading screen appear is whenever you enter a dungeon. So you'll see me enter a treasure cave shortly, and you'll see this cool little animation, which really, it's quick, but it's cool, which shows Elliot, basically a silhouette of Elliot walking into a cave, and it will do the same thing as Elliot exits the cave, as Elliot goes up and down stairs. That was the animation there. You'll see another one pop up in a moment as well. And that's just really clever in the way in which that has been executed. And yeah, I really can't fault it. I enjoyed it. The fact that Elliot can jump, you saw me jumping and testing the areas within which Elliot can jump up to or land on. And of course you can't jump off the walls in this. That would be cool if you could, but you can't. Here's the animation you can see of Elliot there at speed. So this is really cool. I like that. It just shows that Square has thought about that and they're pushing those capabilities of the systems rather than just making unoptimized games. And for a JRPG to be unoptimized, that is like sacrilege. So this kind of separates the adults from the children when it comes to game production, and really just separates Square and Atlas from the rest. And it's good to see that they have improved and improved and improved. We'll just take a bit of a break and talk about the likeness, what this game incites for me as I play it. Now, I've read people talk about this game giving them hints of like Mana, for example, like Trial of Mana and such. And yeah, I see it. Same as Zelda. Yeah, it's like, it is a bit of a dungeon crawler, a 2D dungeon crawler, I can say, but of course, you know, those are all, you have to take the context within which those games were created, especially the 2D variants of them. And I just don't, like, even taking that into account, I don't know if I could necessarily say this is a copy of a Zelda or a Mana or a borrows heavily from it outside of maybe the sprite work. I would actually liken this more so to the combat element of Stardew Valley, with just much more by way of what you can do re-combat. In fact, you have a secondary weapon, and also the fact that you have Faye, the companion, that you can manipulate to do a wide array of things, and I'll talk about that in a moment as well. This just reminds me of Stardew, and that's not an indictment. Here's another cool animation of Elliot going up those stairs, as I mentioned. In fact, I would argue it's a boon. If, again, I've given you my spiel as to how I like 2D HD. 2D is not too far behind that as well. And I've pumped hundreds, if not thousands of hours into Stardew Valley. It's probably another one of my faves as well, even though it's not really a JRPG. But that's a really cool game to play as well. So I like this. This is already speaking to me within the realm of the games that I already play and enjoy. So this was like, it didn't do much to nudge me over to be a fan of this game. That's the long and short. The other aspect of the game I've really enjoyed is just the fact that you have a companion that can be manipulated, in the case of Faye. Now, I know there are complaints of Faye being too talky and loud and intrusive into the game immersion. I just think that's, for me personally, no, I don't agree with that at all. Not to rubbish the person's opinion, they may have that opinion, it is what it is. But for me, I found Faye to be pretty good. Like, the dialogue that she does chime in with is pretty cool. Plays a very similar role to Navi in that sense, as far as being a guiding stone or a guiding star or compass for what you need to do. There's also really cool dialogue, like whenever you're going to a township and you see a cat, you're like, "Ooh, kitty!" And if you sprint with Elliot and bump into something, you'll hear her go, "Owie!" So those things are really nifty. And yeah, I don't really find it intrusive at all. That's the best way to put it. And I'm not a huge, like, kawaii, even though I play 2D HD games, I love them because of the content more so than the art style, but Faye is fairly unintrusive. I'm not a huge fan of kawaii stuff in the first place and chibi stuff, so it's like, But then you see what Faye can do, and what Faye can do is pretty cool. So with Faye, you have a couple of skills that you can use. So you have one which is sprint, and that's what I was talking about. When you bump into something, Faye goes, "Owie!" Or will say something snide because you're a bit of a gumbo when you run. But you can also manipulate Faye using the right toggle and right analog to travel along the map, and you've seen me doing that here in this video. And the other technique you can use, or special, I don't know if I'll call it a special, but is warp. And what I mean by that is you can send Faye to a ledge, for example. It's too far for Elliot to jump to. Hover Faye over that area and then hit warp. There are a couple of ways to manipulate and use warp quite adeptly in this game, in this demo especially. Within the final dungeon that you play before the actual demo finishes, you have a section where you will sort of warp onto lily pads. So that's really well done. And yeah, look, I really enjoyed this. That being said though, because we're sort of coming to the tail end of this video, again, I hope you hit the like button, comment, subscribe, all the good things. But I would like to jump back into this, especially if they have another demo released, for example, and some more content, just to provide more thoughts. I'll probably pump some more time into it and provide more thoughts than my initial 7 to 10 hour gameplay. But keep an eye out. I'll actually be doing another video for Octopath Traveler 2 and my thoughts on it, because I'm on a bit of a 2D HD sprint and a binge, and I think that with Octopath Traveler 0 coming out soon, it's worthwhile doing a bit of a rehash of games that I've played and really enjoyed, to be able to provide more timely thoughts. With that being said though, again, I'll say for the third time, like, comment, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next video, and in the meantime, be easy, be safe, crack open a game, get cozy, and start mashing some buttons. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye. It's been a pleasure.